Hey Pepper Gang, for my first Dark Raiders wipe, I decided to do the unthinkable and max out the conditioning tree first, except for 2 perks which I'll talk about, because I knew that the majority of content creators were going to do survival trees, mobility trees, and I am a curious person, so I always knew I wanted to max out this tree at some point in my Arc Raiders career, so I figured to do it for my first wipe and share what I learned here. I like to zig when people zag, capiche? And now that the first expedition window is about to open up, this seems like a great time to analyze and discuss the tree. Now the question is, was it worth it? Absolutely not. Fuck no. You probably didn't need a video to tell you this just by looking at it in the first glance, right? I mean, why wouldn't you want to beeline towards the security breaches right away and then focus on mobility? I do think those 2 trees will still be the preferred trees come the next wipe. In the current state of this game, I do not recommend anyone pump too many points into the conditioning tree. The perks you get for most of it are not worth it, but there are some underrated gems I do recommend and might seek with future characters. Also, if you did mainly mobility and survival tree this way, maybe you will want to do a bit of a meme character next season, which this tree will make you feel like it. Trust me, it was a lot of fun, but not the greatest for PvP and in general moving around. Now starting from the bottom up, I'll discuss what I thought about these perks. I will say it's a little hard to gauge the improvement in the character with these perks on any tree because we lack actual numbers to go off. This has been a common complaint about the skill trees, and I hope Embark makes some changes to what information we get off each perk. I got my first 40 points within the first week of playing, so I also don't have the greatest way to compare before and after movement. The general consensus is though that a lot of these perks, such as the first one, Used to the Weight, don't make crazy different in movement, so keep this in mind. Now the next 2 perks, Proficient Prior and Gentle Pressure, focus on breaching. I had a hard time gauging the audio difference with Gentle Pressure, but Proficient Prior, I did notice a much quicker breaching process on husks, doors, and containers after I maxed it out with 5 points. This is a great perk and one I might grab every wipe because it's towards the bottom of the tree. And another breaching related perk is the one on the thumbnail and what I consider the most underrated one for this tree. It's called A Little Extra. If you're a big crafter and looter like me, with this perk, every single time you breach something, you get a little extra couple mats on the ground. These are typically basic mats like plastic, alloy, or metal, but sometimes you get something nicer like a battery or a sensor. I noticed once I had the perk, I never ran out of basic mats because every raid I would walk out with a stack of 50 of some sort of basic mat due to this perk. If you have a lot of blueprints, you can never have too many basic mats as well. You must know this if you've been playing a lot. This is a must perk for looters in my opinion, and if you're going to do expeditions regularly, this perk was a great help when it came to filling out the requirements. Now staying on this topic of melee, Effortless Swing is a perk further up the tree, which says melee costs less stamina. Melee opportunities are not that common in Arc Raiders unless you're constantly running Stellamontis, but the melee perks are pretty fun if you enjoy doing them. I've had some clutch moments where the melee tool won me a close 1v1 instead of reloading. Now, the last 2 perks on the right side of the tree are Sky Clearing Swing and Fly Swatter. Sky Clearing Swing allows you to do more damage to drones with a hook light, right-click attack, but I think it's very negligible. You don't really need it. You don't really melee arcs. You're usually shooting them. Fly Swatter was the perk I really wanted this wipe just for the memes and shenanigans. It allows you to one-tap turrets and wasps, which came in handy for stealthier gameplay when I didn't want to shoot my guns. However, wasps only come within arm's reach very seldomly, and for being the last perk in the tree, guys, I wish to let you one-tap fireballs, pops, and hornets too to make it worth it. Right now, it's not really worth it at all, unless you're like me and you're a little crazy. Realistically speaking, the last brick on the tree should be insane, sought after like the security breaches one. So one-tapping arcs doesn't seem that great for all those points. Those last 3 perks, guys, are for those bored and don't really care about their points that much, just want to fuck around to be honest. Now on to the lesser exciting perks and ones I could probably do without. The 2 perks I didn't grab at all because I primarily play solo are Turtle Crawl, which while down you take less damage and down, but Determine says you take longer to collapse when down. Those 2 perks could be great if you're constantly running trios, but if you're like me and play a lot of solos, they seem like a waste of points. However, I honestly should just max it out just for shits and giggles at this point. Last warning I wouldn't take, it's supposed to affect your hearing, but explosions still sound loud as fuck, to be honest. I definitely don't need to put 5 points into this again. Sometimes I wonder if this perk by itself has messed up my audio in PvP, maybe created some bugs. I find my audio getting muddled in many scenarios with Arc. Not sure if it's related to this perk at all, but I know it's a common complaint. Sometimes people just show up behind you and you never hurt them. Fight or Flight gives you a fixed amount of stamina when hurt in combat. This is a perk that's hard to gauge before and after since I got it so early, but in my opinion, if you care about stamina, you should focus on the stam perks, the mobility tree, and level up that side. The entire left tree of the conditioning tree does just not seem worth putting points into. Now, Survivor Stamina is supposed to help stamina regenerate quicker when hurt, and a very similar perk, the top one on the left, Back on Your Feet, regenerates health to a certain limit when critically hurt. These two perks read like they're very useful, but like I have stated, where they are in the tree, the number of points that you have to put in order to get to those, the value you get out of them just does not seem worth it right now. Last perk I didn't mention is Loaded Arms, and it's right after a little extra. It's supposed to help with weapon encumbrance. If you're a loot goblin like me, this perk might actually seem worth it, and it only costs 1 point. And if you're already up there getting a little extra and you have an extra perk laying around, I wouldn't be opposed to adding this one. That is all for my analysis on the conditioning tree. I hope it helped you give you insight. I try to keep it short and sweet, and hopefully I answered any questions you might have had. If you have any further questions, drop them down below or swing over to my Twitch live stream where we're constantly playing Arc and chit-chatting about the game. Let me know what you think about all 3 trees, what you're thinking about doing in this upcoming expedition, and if you're going to be touching the conditioning tree at all. Thanks again though. Check out my Arc Creators playlist suggested here at the end with all sorts of videos, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.